I often get asked,
why do vegans want to replicate meat?
Now I can't speak on behalf of everyone, but I know for at least myself and my husband, we grew up eating meat, we enjoyed the taste, and the only reason we stopped is because of the cruelty involved. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, definitely check out the video linked down below. But luckily nowadays, there are so many alternatives that you don't even have to sacrifice taste, and that's what we're here to talk about today. By the way, if you're new here, I'm Maddie, and I want to help you transition to veganism as easily as possible. So if you're looking for some more plant-based recipes, but you're not sure where to start, I have got you covered, because today we are going over ground beef substitutes and how to use them. And which one of these is going to be the best? That's what we're gonna find out. Now, why ground beef? It's because I feel that it's one of the easier textures to replicate. There are some options available for vegan steak, but I find them either to be really expensive or quite time-consuming to make. So that being said, let's take a look at our first option, TVP. Textured vegetable protein comes from soybeans, and it is made to resemble minced meat. It's actually made during the process of making soybean oil. Once the oil is removed from the soybeans, a high protein paste is what's left over, and this paste is then dehydrated and made into TVP. So it is dry, which means it is shelf stable. You can keep it in the pantry, and then to use it, you just need to add some kind of a liquid. Now, if you're not a fan of TVP, you could also use something like soy curls, which I mentioned in the last video, or even something like crumbled tofu or tempeh, because seasonings are really what's going to be the most important here. So get yourself some Better Than Bouillon not beef, or some vegan bouillon cubes, or even some mushroom powder would work well here. And then of course your other seasonings, such as tamari, soy sauce, vegan Worcestershire sauce, are all gonna help build that flavor even more. So let's cook up some of this TVP, and I'll show you how easy it is to make a versatile ground beef substitute.
We're going to use some of this mushroom broth to give our TVP some flavor, and it is so easy to use. Just 1 cup of TVP and 1 cup of boiling water or broth. And I'm also adding about a teaspoon of tamari, and then let it rest for about 5 to 10 minutes, and it's ready to use. Since I'm making stuffed peppers, I'm just adding a bit of paprika, taco seasoning, steak seasoning, and garlic powder, and then just adding in some already prepped rice to form the mixture for our peppers. And then these peppers are super easy. Go ahead and just cut them down the middle and take out the insides, add them to a baking sheet, and then stuff them with your filling. And these will bake at 350 for about an hour. I'm covering them with foil so that they don't dry out too much. And then after about 45 minutes, I just went ahead and added some of this chickpea cheese sauce. This is totally optional. Feel free to add any other vegan cheese if you want, or just leave it off. And then those go back in the oven for another 10 to 15 minutes, and then they are ready to eat.
Up next, we have the more whole food options: cauliflower, mushrooms, lentils, and walnuts. And you can use these on their own, or I do often see them mixed together. Cauliflower walnut taco meat, mushroom and lentil bolognese, or even something like a mushroom lentil walnut meatloaf. So again, seasonings are key here, especially for some of the ingredients that don't have that much flavor on their own. So just keep that in mind and season accordingly. Now, I personally really like the combination of lentils and cauliflower, so we are gonna use those to make a vegan bolognese.
Just adding some onion into the pan along with some garlic, and then I'm going to be using this riced cauliflower for our ground beef. It comes frozen from Costco, and it's just the perfect texture already. And then since we're doing pasta, I'm adding in some Italian herbs as well as some garlic and onion powder. And of course, you can either use store-bought or home-cooked lentils. I just happen to have these from our last batch prep, so we're just adding those in the last few minutes of cooking. And our sauce is ready to go. I also have some prepped pasta, so I'm just microwaving that to heat it up, and then adding our sauce.
And lastly, we're going to talk about store-bought options. Now, these are likely going to be a bit more expensive, but in a time crunch, they are super helpful, and I often find that they taste pretty good. They do still need some seasoning, but they aren't as much of a blank slate as something like cauliflower. They do have some flavor already built in. So the most common ones are going to be Beyond Meat, of course, Impossible, Gardein, Eve's, and even PC brand has one. We really like Beyond. We use their burgers and sausages quite often. Now, last time I was at the store, I couldn't find their specific ground beef, but they did have burgers. So being that I'm not super picky, I'm just gonna use these today as a ground beef substitute. If you prefer, you can definitely just stick to their specific ground, but I'm just gonna go ahead and cook up a couple of these and turn them into some lettuce wraps. So I'm just heating the Beyond Meat burger patties first. Go ahead and cook them as you like. Actually, if you were doing like a barbecue or something like that, you could cook a bunch extra and use them throughout the week in any of these dishes. And then I just rinsed out the pan, and now I'm adding some green onion, ginger, and garlic. Go ahead and cook those for a couple of minutes before adding the burger patties back in, and then just sauteing those together with about half a tablespoon of rice vinegar and a tablespoon or two of hoisin sauce. And then just a little bit of shredded carrot and green onion to finish it off. Now for lettuce cups, you're supposed to use like Boston lettuce, but this was all I had, so I decided to use these little mini ones. Of course, you could also serve this with some rice and cucumber as well. And then just topping it off with some mint, cilantro, sesame seeds, and toasted peanuts. So which one of these is the best ground beef substitute? Well, obviously best is subjective. I mean, what are you going for? The cheapest, the best tasting, the healthiest? In terms of healthiest, I think vegetables are gonna be your best bet. If you go for cauliflower and mushrooms, you're gonna get vitamins B, C, and K, potassium, antioxidants, fiber, etc. So that would be my first choice if I'm looking for something just simple and healthy. But removing vegetables here for just a minute, let's take a look at our other options, TVP, lentils, and Beyond Meat. So per 100 grams, we have TVP coming in at $1.40, lentils at 60 cents, and Beyond Meat at around $2.50. For protein per 100 grams, we have TVP at 53 grams, lentils at 26 grams, and Beyond Meat has 18 grams. And for fat per 100 grams, TVP has 1 gram of fat, lentils have 0, and Beyond Meat has 17 grams of fat. And just for fun, let's go ahead and add in some regular ground beef to compare. So I think it's pretty clear to see now who the winners are in terms of the cheapest price, highest in protein, and lowest in fat. But of course, we also can't forget taste. I mean, this is also subjective, but I do tend to find that people who are new to veganism or who are still transitioning do tend to prefer the taste of things like Beyond and Impossible. So what I like to do to make those a little bit healthier is to add in some veggies where I can. And that will not only boost up the nutrition, but it makes it a little bit less expensive because you're increasing the quantity and making it last a little bit longer. But of all the ground beef substitutes, I would have to say my personal favorite is lentils. And that is not only because they are super nutritious and quite inexpensive, but they're also really versatile. Not only can you make them into a ground beef substitute, but they are great in so many other dishes. Now, if you noticed with these recipes, I didn't have to do a lot of cooking today. Most of the ingredients were prepped and ready to go, and that is thanks to meal prep. So if you want to learn more about it, I'm actually going to be opening the Let's Eat Plants meal prep course again next week. If you're interested to learn more about it or you want more info, I will leave all those links down below. And now that we've mastered vegan ground beef, if you're looking to replace your chicken next, make sure you check out this video right here, and I'll see you guys over there.